So this being the last section out of the chapter, you will have chapter 2 test coming up pretty quick. Not 100% sure that we won't go back and cover some other stuff out of the chapter, but I'm leaning towards not right now. So if that's the case, your test will be time after next. We would be reviewing next time. But you'll find out for sure when you get it. So 2.7 is basically graphing lines and then shading one side or the other. We've graphed lines many times in the past, and I'm sure we've done inequalities as well. So there shouldn't be anything new, maybe a little more in depth. We're going to go through some examples here of how to do them. 2x plus 3y is greater than 6. Until you get ready to shade one side or the other of your line, the greater than really doesn't mean anything. Okay, you treat that just like an equal sign. What you need to do is solve that equation for y, get it in slope-intercept form, and then graph the line. That's the first thing you're going to do on all the problems. So if we were solving this for y, what would we have to do first? What would we have to do? Not the y-intercept. Solving for y. Getting y by itself. What's got to move? 2x. So we subtract that from both sides, which would leave us with 3y is greater than negative 2x plus 6. That is not 4x. And actually subtract that. And why do we put the x first? Slope-intercept form. That's what we're trying to do here. So then how do we finish solving for y? Divide by 3. Divide everything by 3. Now you still have to remember, what if we would have had negative 3y? You still have to remember you would have flipped that inequality sign. If you multiply or divide by a negative, you would still flip the inequality. The other rule from inequalities that still applies is, would this be open or closed? Circle. Open, because it doesn't have the line under it. Today, you're not putting dots on a number line. Today, you're actually graphing this line. So it'll be a dotted or a solid line. Now, not a circle, and I'll write those rules up here. So if you have either one of those signs without the equal sign underneath, it is a dotted line. And then if you have the equal to underneath, it is a solid line. So if you wrote that down and have that in your notes, you should be able to easily refer to that and know for sure which one you have. Yeah, dotted or solid. So which one is this going to be? Dotted line. So that's what you're going to do first. After you solve for y, you're going to go ahead and graph that line. Calculators are very, very helpful in this section. I will go over once again how to graph that line for anybody who doesn't remember. You really need to be focusing on this each time we do it so you're completely comfortable graphing your own line. So what do we hit first? We're going to graph that. The y equals p. So we hit that. A lot of times we'll probably have to clear something from the last person that used it. And remember, you can't have any of the plots highlighted at the top. If they are, you got to go up there and push enter and turn those off. Okay? So for your y1, you just type negative 2/3, and I would put that in parentheses. Negative 2 divided by 3. Where's the variable key? Right next to the alpha. That little xt key. So we got negative 2/3 x, and then plus 2, and we hit graph. Now, I don't remember if I've told this class or not, but looking at the graph, it can... I'm getting an error window range. Yeah, your window is for you. So you got to get your window key right there and change them. The minimum's to -10 and the maximum's to +10. What? Get it second quick first, and then do your change.
What did you say?
Your minimum's to -10, your maximum's to +10. Now, as I was saying, if you're looking at this, it can be difficult to see actually where it's crossing or what exact points are. If you hit your second key and then your graph key again, it will show you a table of all the XY points on that line. So again, that was your second key and then your graph key, and that will bring up the table. It should show all the points on the line. So looking at that, what would be a pretty easy point to plot? What? 0, 2, absolutely. And isn't that the y-intercept anyway? You should be able to see that. So yeah, 0, 2 is an easy point. Now, I'm not saying that you have to use this calculator, because a lot of you could have already gotten this one graphed by plotting 0, 2 and counting your slope. If you can do that, that's probably faster than typing it in here. I'm just showing you how to do it on here in case you don't know exactly how to graph looking at it. So what's another point that would be easy to graph? 3, 0 on there, yeah. And we have our 2 points. And that's really all you need, 2 points. They have to make a straight line. What do we have to do, though, before we draw this line? Or what do we have to remember that we already talked about? It's a dotted line. Even I do this. I get working on a problem, I get going, I put my 2 points, and I draw a line through it. It's just what you're used to doing. But you got to remember it is a dotted line. Okay? So what was step 1 in this problem? What we do first? Solve for y, keep y by itself. And then after we did that, what was the next step? What did we just do? Graph the line, making sure it's dotted or solid. And the third thing we have to do is shade. We're either going to shade here or here. And this is where kids get, I don't know why, they can never get this in their head correctly. What you have to do, pay very close attention to this. I think that's usually the problem, is they just don't catch it when I say it. You will pick a point from either side of the line. Okay? Either side. Which point's going to be the easiest? 0, 0. The only time you cannot use 0, 0 is if your line goes through it, because then it wouldn't be on one side or the other. But 9 times out of 10, picking this point, 0, 0 will be the easiest. Then, if you pick a point from here that results in a true statement, you shade this side, which would make sense. If you pick this point and it results in a false statement, where would you shade? The other side. Okay? And we're going to do that here. So, you can either plug the 0, 0 into the one you solve or to the original. Most of the time, it's probably, especially in this one, it's easier to plug it in for the original because this whole thing is going to be 0 and you can already see whether it's true or not. So, if we plug in the point 0, 0, putting in a 0 for the x and a 0 for the y, we would have 2 times 0 plus 3 times 0 is greater than 6. Again, all of this is 0, so we end up with 0 greater than 6. Is 0 greater than 6? That would be a false statement. So we picked a point that was on this side, right? That's where 0, 0 is at. And it was false. Where do we shade? The other side. And this is sufficient for shading. You don't have to actually color the entire page. Just show me that you're shading on that side of the line. Any questions? We're going to do a couple more, but any questions before we move on? Right, exactly. No matter what. If you pick a point here that's false, you have to shade the other side. X minus 2y is less than 4. The first step we said was what? On all the problems. Solve for y. So how do we do that in this problem? What would we do first? Subtract x from both sides. So we have negative 2y is less than negative x plus 4. Divide everything by negative 2. Very good. Switch the sign. So now y is greater than 1/2 x minus 2. So then if you type that in your calculator and hit your second graph key, you would get points. And then you can plot. I'm going to go ahead and plot it. Plot the y-intercept, 0, negative 2. And then slope would be up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. And so we got our points. So do I just draw the line through it? Right, it's a dotted line again because we don't have the equal to sign underneath there. And then the last step, what do we do? Plug 0, 0 in again because it's not on the line. We can put that point in. So if we plug this in and it's true, do we shade top or bottom? If we plug this point in and it's true, do we shade the top or the bottom? The top. If it's false, we would shade the bottom. So up here, you don't have to do the whole plugging in process that I did in the last one. I'm just showing you what you were doing. What's this whole side going to be?
0.
So you would end up with 0 less than 4. Is that true? Yes. So again, we picked a point up here. We picked a point on that side, on the top side of the line that was true. So where do we shade? What?
That side.
That side of the line, or in this case, the top side. Very good.